Hey y'all, it's your girl Dr. Nina, and I feel like I'm a little too excited for this topic at hand because it's kind of heavy. However, I just got back from 7 days in Belize and I'm excited, but I know who ain't. Mr. Derrick Jaxn. And I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, because what's going on is, I am not at the core on this channel, key commentary and all of that, but I feel like these big sister auntie chats do the best with y'all. So if you want to see more of these, please let me know, and I've listed my email address down below if you would like to send me an email of topics or stories you would like for me to discuss or work in every month outside of my normal content. With that said, let's get into this topic. Now, I wanted to talk about Derrick Jaxn, this whole cheating scandal, but also some of the reasons why you should never get married. And now this is big coming from me, who is a licensed clinical psychologist and professional, as well as a newly married woman. Well, in a week and a half, it'll make a year. Just to give you some quick background, because I'm not finna make my whole video about Mr. Jaxn, okay? But I will give you some key and clue facts. I want y'all to chime in down below in the comments. Give this video a like if you like it. But let me know some of the things I'm missing. About 2 years ago, news broke from Tasha K about how Derrick Jaxn had been exposed for cheating on his wife. Why is this important about somebody cheating on his wife? It's important because Derrick Jaxn made himself out to be this huge relationship guru. And I won't say he made himself out to be, the world made him out to be that as well. He was giving advice to women who wanted marriage, who wanted healthy relationships, about men, about the men to avoid, about things you shouldn't do in dating. He was married, and most people didn't even know he was married until he got caught cheating. So all of those things made it very sensational. I also found that for me personally, when his videos would come up in my feed on Facebook, because I am an older millennial, I was on Facebook, I ain't embarrassed, I would always click do not show me again. And I'm gonna tell you why. I just never felt the good spirits coming from him. And you know how sometimes people mention God and they mention relationships and you instantly, it's just cringe. It didn't ever seem very genuine, like your R.C. Blakes or your Tony Gaskins. It was giving very much back then, they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. It always kind of gave me a weird vibe that I never see you in a solid place when you're recording. This man was really making himself out to be this honest and, you know, feel good guy. And then all of a sudden we hear about his family because he cheats on his wife, okay? I didn't even know about the kid. The man got caught cheating on his wife then with multiple women, and now it's happened again. Or allegedly, while he was in Miami, cheating on his wife. Now, all of a sudden, he's announcing that they're getting a divorce. His wife, Derrick Jaxn, had been, you know, creating academies about infidelity and how you can recover and all of this. It just seemed a lot out of place. And if I remember, about a month ago, she was on the internet talking about, you know, using biblical terminology and telling people that basically they were going to be cursed, their families would be cursed and everything if they ever spoke words negatively about the relationship between her and her husband. These are the types of things that give people pause when it comes to marriage and relationships. And sometimes we see religion does play a big part for most of us that were raised religiously. I was raised Church of God in Christ. And let me know down below what I'm missing in between. Give the people the story. I've linked down below some things if you want to familiarize yourself with Mr. Jaxn, but it seems like a lot of people are familiar with Mr. Jaxn. Ooh, I couldn't. I also feel like there's a lot of mental implications here. But make sure that you give this video a like if you're enjoying it. And if you're looking to make sure that your life continues to be the best it can possibly be, take my free supernatural video course. I've linked it down below for you. And let's go ahead and get into this video, y'all. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Now, the first reason to never get married is just for the reason of all my friends are married. So many times there's all of these unrelated pressures to having life events because it's happening to other people. And don't think I'm immune, okay? I have seen a lot of people do different things. Now, I was also strong-willed, so I had a plan from the beginning, and I didn't, because I'm so anxious and anxiety driven and pretty bullheaded, I didn't want to veer off that plan. So even when I saw other people doing other things, yes, I would be like, oh, I need to do that. But then I would be like, no, I need to stick to the plan. I can still see how a lot of times it can be fear of missing out, FOMO, like where you feel, oh, everybody else is going through it, I'm late. And, you know, being a late bloomer myself, I know what that feeling is like, but at the same time, you do not want to be entering into these situations where you are creating a permanent situation for a temporary feeling. Hear me out. A lot of times when you fear missing out, it's because you only see the joy and the heightened press around the situation. So if you attend a wedding, you're going off the joy that you felt while at that wedding, the beauty of the place and the space and the event, and not so much the marriage itself. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors, okay? I always like to use this as a clinician. There is 10 to 15% of what we see in a relationship that we believe to be true, but 85% of that is what's really going on. Okay, so a lot of times when we're basing what experiences we haven't had yet based on that of others, we're not understanding what sacrifices, what life changes, what ups and what downs that person has been putting up with or dealing with or equipped to deal with in their journey as opposed to where we are in ours. And so we make it romanticized. And perhaps that could have happened to Derrick Jaxn. Perhaps because they were together so young, and I know we're going to get back to the religious stuff, but because they were so young, she probably felt that this is something she should do. Maybe she felt convicted because others of her friends were in relationships, or maybe she wanted to be able to say that she was married first. It could have also been just the pressures of being brought up in a religious home or sharing this religious feeling that it's better to marry than to burn, meaning that you shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage, which is something that I was raised to learn and appreciate in the Church of God in Christ. So I get it. Maybe that was where it came from, but maybe not understanding where that feeling came from and what comes with that, because to whom much is given, much is required. Maybe she wasn't ready for that. And I know he wasn't. I ain't even brought him in yet, but we gonna get there. Perhaps it was not understanding what adjustments would need to be made and what marriage meant to them in their relationship, and if it was even healthy for them. And I'm sure you've seen people like that, okay? I'm sure you've seen people, honey, I have at one point been, talking to someone like, man, y'all relationship is so beautiful and woo. And all the time, World War III is going on behind closed doors. And I don't know what it is about me, even outside of my profession. People have always felt very comfortable telling me the truth. And maybe it's because of my transparency, being honest about what I do share. And I feel like a lot of people have been able to tell me, girl, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Honey, you can go to a beautiful wedding and then not even know that they coming home and blowing their house up. So just be very careful about going into marriage with anyone, because you feel pressure because other people around you are experiencing that. It can mess your life up. I'm just going to put it plain and simple. The next reason why some people foolishly get married and should never get married is because they like being called Mr. or Mrs. and have that "at least I got somebody" syndrome. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Some people just love to prop up the fact that they've been able to get somebody to marry them. Here's the thing about marriage is it's just like going into your career choice. It's just like going into, and yes, it has its differences. To be in my profession, I had to go through 10 years straight of schooling, plus postdoctoral work, plus all kinds of other things to get licensed. After a while, you ain't bragging no more about no titles. You got to be in that thing to even want it. Same thing with marriage. Title is cute. Being a missus now, oh, it's wonderful. However, you have to work at it. So all those moments that other people don't see, not just the pictures, not just the wedding, not just all of that, you're not going to have all them people there with you to cheer you on at all times. And sometimes at no time. So therefore, you don't want to set yourself up for, oh, at least I got somebody, at least I'm doing it. If it's only half a person or even 25% of a person, or for some of y'all and some of us that have been through certain situations, 2% of a person, if that, it ain't even worth it. Unless it's something that you know for yourself and through God, has been God ordained, something that you have worked hard to be able to cherish, something that you have cultivated and encouraged and loved and watered and have been watered. Okay, so here's the other side, because a lot of times in marriage, women tend to get caught up on what they do for the other party. What's being done for you? If your hand in marriage is being given away, why? What has been done to earn that? And until you can stand on that, okay, all that bragging and all that titles, it don't matter. Okay, I love my husband to my soul, but there are reasons that I love him that he's given me, not just because he's a man, not just because he made me a missus. You have to have all of that in line. You have to feel it, you have to know it, and you have to be able to deal with the ups and downs even when people are not there and available. So I'd be willing to believe, okay, that Miss Derrick Jaxn, as well as Mr. At this point he become a Freddie Jackson, Derrick Jaxn, Lord, didn't really think about those reasonings and how this could lead to a better family or a less than perfect family. I don't think that any of that was considered. I feel like whatever they were in was rushed. As we knew about the story after the first cheating scandal, it was just a lot of things that led to that. Maybe the look was better to be married for his business of duping women. And maybe his prestige would grow. And for men, that tends to be the case. When they're married, they tend to get a little bit more prestige. They tend to move up the ladder a little bit more. People tend to listen to them even more. And with women, with that Mrs. thing, for some people, it just makes them feel so important, especially if, and y'all, this is why I suggest to my young people and my older people the same, because we get married across the developmental spectrum. Make sure you have other things to be proud of. I said it. Make sure you have other things to be proud of. We are not living in the 1940s, where the only thing you had, for some people, not everyone, was being able to tote a ring, being able to have a child, being able to live in a man's house. Have some things that you cherish, because then you'll cherish yourself more. You'll be less likely to let people mistreat you. You will have more in your bank that keeps you filled than just a title. It's the same thing, like I said, with my career. There's so much more to me than my career, honey. So much more to me than being Dr. Nina. I'm that chick. Beyond that. And I could be proud of that, because there was so much I earned before that was ever a factor. Be proud of the things that you've been able to do outside of that, because the missus will add a cherry to the cake. But that cake needs to be made. Moving on. Y'all, I would be willing to believe with Miss Derrick that I've heard a lot of people talking about her mental health and a lot of her mental stressors and issues and how she's crazy, which, the word just makes me cringe. I think we're seeing a little bit of a lot of things, right? So you might be seeing someone who's making decisions based off of emotion, based off of unhealed issues and difficulties, because I'm getting tired of hearing just childhood trauma. Yes, it's real, but a lot of times that grows up into adult issues. And so a lot of those things have not been dealt with. Furthermore, you got to remember she entered this situation when she was very, very young. And I think much younger than Derrick. And I don't know what all her background is, but I'm pretty sure she wasn't really in the world in order to learn all of this great information and hear things. She probably only had the support of her religious community and what she found there to be a home. And sometimes that can be unhealthy for people. Okay, because it's only one way of thinking, it's only one way of living, and that can cause what we think is a look at mental instability. And y'all also got to remember that sometimes growing up highly religious, we become accustomed to, speaking in tongues, prayer and supplication, using prayer for some people as a weapon. And that doesn't mean that she's necessarily crazy, okay? Do I believe some of this was for show? Heck yes. But do I also believe a lot of this is taught behaviors and also a bit of that unhealed issues that's going on her end? Absolutely. Do I believe Mr. Derrick Jaxn has some issues of his own? I ain't doing no diagnosis without payment, honey. If you need a psychological assessment, I got you. But I will say, yes, there's a lot of selfish gain and a lot of issues and a lot of, like I said, back then they did want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me syndrome. You know, now everybody looking at me. I got the face, I got the voice, I got this. The women want me. You know, you gotta know the women was all up in this DM trying to get at him, talk to him, whatever. He was pumped up, okay? So we throw this narcissist word around. I'm not gonna throw that around. A selfish, I'm this and I'm that high and mighty man. And women are allowing it. So of course he gonna think he all that and some stale chips. Maybe there was already the propensity to have some mental instabilities, but then now it's been magnified. So y'all be a little bit more empathetic and stop throwing that crazy word around. We gotta be careful. This next reason is quick, but marrying for love. I know you're finna say, Dr. Nina, how in the world is that even something on your list? You should always marry for love. That shouldn't be all, okay? I've told y'all this before, even in relationships. If you could check the receipts, go back in my relationship book videos. Love is wonderful. And again, for me, I'm in love and I love my husband. Thank God. Thank God for him every day. However, there is a lot more that we bring each other than love. Love is not the only thing that keeps peace in the home. Love does not pay the bills. Love does not solve issues all the time. It's what you do in order to build that love. It's what you have beyond that has allowed you to develop and grow. Now, what I will say love does is a lot of times it will allow you to deal with the strengths and the weaknesses of not only yourself, because it's a mirror, okay, but also that other person. So love definitely ain't gonna be the only reason why you should be married. And if it is, a lot of times you're gonna fail. And that's why a lot of marriages, 50% of them to be exact, end in divorce, because a lot of people have only focused on the love. There's so much more. There's so much more to a marriage than love. Do you even like the person? Do you even care about the person? Are they stable? Are you stable? Have you dealt with your traumas? Have they dealt with theirs? Lots of questions to answer. Are they financially literate? Are they bringing something to the household? Are you the only person taking responsibility for everything that happens in the family? If that's the case, you got to reevaluate love. And sometimes, I want to tell you this too, sometimes we're only thinking about how we love the person, not how we're being loved back. It's a reciprocal relationship. The thing about love is, and we don't get taught this oftentimes, especially, I'm going to say people of color, and let's break it on down. Black people, black women are not taught that you shouldn't consider what someone else does for you. You should just love, 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 love. And let me tell you, when that love store get low, baby, problems pop up. So you best believe you need love too. And you should be focused on how that person is treating you and how they're showing you, not just telling you that they love you. So don't just get married for love. So the next thing is escape from relationship headaches and fear of the unknown. I would say for a fact, or I would believe in my head, that a lot of it had to do with that very reason. A lot of times when there's fear of the unknown, not knowing if you can create another relationship that you see as stable or healthy or even unhealthy, fear of what is beyond that, and also just being by yourself or ending up by yourself can be very scary. And it's happening to people very young. I'm happy to see this new generation is less focused on that because, my God, it can cause some issues. And some of us start to believe that we don't have any worth or any value if we haven't established a romantic relationship by a certain age. Believe me, I went through that. All of my 20s, I was never really single, okay? I always had a boyfriend. Baby, kept the man, okay? However, knowing that I would marry that person, yeah, I could have been married a long time ago. But I didn't want to just be with someone, just to say I was with someone. Something in me, and maybe it was my teachings from my mother, because she always said this. She said, I don't care if he blue, purple, orange, or green. You marry him if he loves you. And I think some things kept me from, not that these weren't good people, quote unquote, kept me from that stage a lot of time and kept me focused on just my career and other things and my family and friends, because I didn't ever feel that that was the true case. I didn't feel that I would be in a relationship with someone and not still feel lonely. I didn't feel that I could completely trust them. I didn't feel that. And so until my husband, and when I had that ability and that openness within me to give, and it was worthy, he was worthy of it being given too, then I wasn't in that place. And I can tell you that probably with their relationship, them being so young when apparently they got married, there was a lot of pressure, and there was probably a lot of, if I don't do it now, I don't know when it's going to happen. It could have been with Denia. I see the comments that y'all have about her. I think the girl is pretty. I think she's cute. I think she's different from what people would think she should be. And maybe even still, she wasn't his type. Maybe they just made it work because of children, because of this and because of that. All the more reason why you shouldn't. But I'm pretty sure she felt with her religious background and all of that, that you should be married and you should make it work and you should. And maybe part of that was frightening. Not wanting to be alone. And if I'm not mistaken, if I know their story correct, she was pregnant before they got married. So that could have been a big part as well. So I'm going to urge you to say, it's okay to be alone and it doesn't make you lonely. Sometimes we got to check ourselves at the door. Sometimes we got to know that being alone is okay. You got to get to like yourself before you expect somebody else to like you or even love you. And if you are always dependent upon someone else to make or break you, you definitely don't need to be looking at marriage as an option anyway, because marriage will take you through some highs and some lows. You're going to see some things about yourself you don't like and some things about the other person. But if you're more comfortable with yourself, those things won't frighten you as much, and it'll even strengthen your bond as a couple. So I'd be willing to believe, though, that whole thing was about loneliness too, and about not knowing what was to come in the future. The next thing is believing that marriage will make you happy. And honey, if you're already an unhappy Grinch, no, it will not make you happy, nor will it make you a relationship coach. I think that it can be a beautiful thing for the right people that come together, of a sound mind, that benefit one another and that take the life of each other and expound on it, okay? Like I said, the cherry on my cake. Find and seek your own level of happy. What does it mean to you? What even makes you happy, okay? Marriage will not clean up a dirty relationship. Marriage will not create a balance for you. Marriage will not eliminate all your issues. Marriage will not cause you to think more highly of yourself automatically. Because even when you get to, a lot of people, because it was done to me, I've had people do me like this, baby. This, story time, hold on. I've had before where people would see that I was excelling in my career, excelling at family, excelling at friendships and relationships, and have comments for me like, well, and I'm married, and since I'm married and I'm married, at some point I started to think like there must be something wrong with your marriage, because or is it something else you want to tell me? And I felt like they were doing it as a mechanism to say, you haven't earned anything. You think you've done all these wonderful things, but you haven't really done anything because you're not married. And I think we got to be very careful about that, because that's pushing people into really bad relationships like Denia and Derrick, who get married because it's a status symbol. It makes them look better. It makes them look more appealing. It makes them look like they got it together. It makes them look like they know. They're a part of an elite club, an establishment. And while marriage, when it's right, can be all of those wonderful, great and giddy things and warm and fuzzy and cozy, it can also be a definer of why this relationship shouldn't have ever happened. Okay? So when you start to see that people are thinking that marriage is what will change everything for them, or if they're dating and they're getting tired of it and they think marriage would just solve that problem, be understanding and empathetic. But also, if it's you, remind yourself that there's other things that make you happy. And if you can't find anything, it's time to build something. It's time to make something that makes you happy. I don't care if it's taking walks in the park every day faithfully at 3:00. I don't care if it's getting a little dog that you love and adore and take care of. I don't care if it's getting a daily call from your cousin Jim Bob down the street. I don't care what it is, but find something else to make you happy. Because sometimes, even in a relationship like marriage, there will be things that will be downers, and you will have to make it through, because you're going to have to remember the things that make you happy as an individual and also together. And until you master how it happens individually, you're going to be sad and mad all day long, and you're going to have Mr. Jackson online telling you what you should do, and you're going to be lying to yourself, and I don't know. It's just not going to be good. So therefore, I urge you to never get married just because you think it'll solve all life's issues, or because y'all been having this horrible, tumultuous relationship and you think it's time. Baby, it's about to get more rough and rocky. Okay, and I don't care who in your ear, you tell them they're not going to have to sleep where you sleep at night. You tell them they're not going to have to accept the repercussions of your actions nor pay the bills. Y'all know how I feel about that paying bills thing. Okay, so if they ain't doing none of that, boop, they got to go. Another reason to not just get married is also if you have been together just for a long time or you are with child. I think we have to be very careful about pushing people to get married just because they're pregnant or because they've been together for umpteen years. If I wouldn't do it, or because my Church of God in Christ roots are against that, that doesn't mean I'm going to push somebody else to do something that may not be a wise decision. And some might say, well, it was unwise for them to get pregnant, or it's unwise for them to be together for so long. Or even if it's you in that position, only you know the motivations behind being with that person for so long. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes it takes a lot of time to know why. And only you know the motivations or the reasons behind being pregnant. So therefore, we should stop pushing people into these even more unhealthy situations. So one might say it could be unhealthy if you choose those decisions. It's not always for every person. However, we shouldn't choose to push them into a direction of being with someone or marrying someone just because we believe they should be because of time and or a child. I think we have to be very careful about that. I've seen a lot of, in my position as a clinician, seen a lot of unhealthy family traditions continue on with all the marriages in the world, okay? Because somebody was with somebody for years or they had a child. And sometimes people are being held against their will. Children have been brought into the picture in a unhealthy manner, if you know what I mean, by force or by, trying to make sure that that person is stuck with them forever. And it ain't just women, it's men too that do this. So we have to be very careful about pushing people to get married just because, or pushing people because we think they should, or putting our own insecurities off on someone else. I do know a few people that have been together for a long time. They waited forever to get married to other people, and they are doing just fine. I think a lot of times you don't see those relationships because we glorify the ones that end in an unhealthy manner. And I think a lot of those people have learned to shut up. Yep, I'm going to support you all I know plenty of friends that I've had that have gotten pregnant and knew they didn't want to marry the child's father. And I, maybe because I'm an inquisitive one, have asked questions about that. Heck, I even asked my mother. Now, I'm adopted and my sister is adopted, but I always asked my mother, it was men trying to get at you. You could have had us a stepdaddy. Now, my mother has been married before she adopted me, and she had decided that she no longer wanted to go that route. That just wasn't for her, but she always influenced us to be married if someone came along that was good for us in our lives and we could be good to them. Made it easy for us to be good to them. And I'm happy that she did that because it didn't make me feel like I had to rush to marry somebody if a circumstance was different. She raised us on her own, and she did tell us it was difficult, but she was excited about doing it because she chose to do that. And even though we were adopted, and even though men were coming at her, she had decided she didn't want to do it with a man no more. Not because a man couldn't bring her resources or do things like that. My mother had done all she could in the marriage that she had, and she said she was going to be one and done. And that's what she stuck to. And at 73 years old, she would tell you she wouldn't have done anything different. Now, she tells me the difficulties and how it could have been simpler if she had a good man in the picture that was just as responsible for children, child rearing resources as she was, and loving and caring and kind and cured of their issues. But that wasn't something that she was able to find that she felt was at the level that she wanted it to be. So with that said, if you feel that you are in that position and you got a lot of people in your ear, be careful. If you know your child, if you're pregnant, your child will be much better off and healthier. Maybe you do marry someone else, but maybe this person isn't the right person. Then don't feel rushed or pushed because of the words of others. That's what I'm going to say. Not what my decision would be or whatever, but I know I've seen enough unhealthy relationships to know that those shouldn't be the only reasons why you choose to marry someone. And this one we know is quite the big discussion, but getting married because your biological clock is ticking. And I've seen so many discussions about this, and I think this should be a whole different video, but I'm going to say, please don't. A lot of times we rush into these things and we rush into it with people, and we don't realize what we're signing up for a lifetime of things. I hate when people say, choose better, get better. A lot of times people have tried to vet someone and be with them and learn their ins and outs, and did what I even suggest: be with a person through all major seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, to see how they behave in those seasons. But sometimes people change when major life events happen, such as getting married, such as having a child, such as the loss of a parent. People change. People change, and sometimes these swindlers and con artists can put on a good face for a very long time. But what I say about that is making sure that you have something to stand on, so in those situations, even though it'll be difficult, you can learn how to move away from that. You do not want to just say, I need a baby, I want a baby, so I need to get married to this person right now. Be careful about that, because you don't want to cause yourself a lifetime of damage or that potential child a lifetime of damage. We have got to realize, and I realize this as an adopted child, that a lot of times having children can be just a selfish reason anyway. However, you don't want to be even more selfish by purposely bringing a child into a very unhealthy, uncomfortable situation just because you wanted a baby. That baby didn't ask to be there. So that biological clock ticking, you better let it tick and learn how to listen to it. And then figure out the best way to get what you want in the most healthy setting possible, because it's not just you. And that child has many more years as you would want them to grow up in this world than you do. So you got to be very mindful and very careful about making a decision just because you want a baby right now. And the last one is that a lot of times people just get married because of religious or tribal reasons. And while I'm not going to tell you to go against your traditions or go against what your values are, I think you also got to make sure they are your values. Sometimes we get so caught up in our religions, our tribal decisions, whatever they are, for whatever race you are, and we're not considering how it's going to affect us beyond the look of it. I know y'all might not believe this, but I am not bulletproof. Before getting married, and even now after getting married, people still put their own thoughts of what I should be doing onto me, and even onto my husband now as my further extension. And I think it's important that you learn to have a mind that allows you to stand very still in your values. When I say this, I've had to learn to build my own relationship with God. Some of you have relationships with different gods or different religions. And I suggest you do your own walk. You know your own convictions. You know your own spirits. You know your own whys. Because what will happen is that you'll end up in relationships with people or marriages because it's been told to you that you must. And I cannot disagree with that more. I am so happy. I am so happy. That I had the will to wait. I had so many people in my ear. And by the way, a lot of those people have been divorced and remarried and divorced again. And still told me, well, you need to be doing this and you doing that, but you need to be doing this and you need to have a man and you need to have... And here's the thing. My life ain't about just going after anything. I ain't go to any school. I didn't go to any life. I didn't have any friends. When I say that, I mean, they were chosen. All of those decisions were things I willed and made, and with the guidance of God, with prayer, with all of that. So why would that be any different with a mate? Why would that be any different with a marriage? Such a huge, one of the biggest decisions that will make or break your life. I'm so happy I waited. And I got the best husband for me. Not just any husband. Thank God I got the one that I got. And with that said, don't you be letting these little dusty people push you into little dusty relationships where you can be dusty with them, because a lot of times they just want to be a mess with somebody else and have your life in a wreck because theirs is. So watch it. Even with religious and tribal thoughts, sometimes people are miserable. Somehow we have associated with, for highly religious people, and I grew up Kojic, so hear me out, that there is this need for, do it this one way and that's the only right way. And I'd like to know what Bible they wrote. I'd like to know when God whispered in their ear and how. Do I believe that God hear from God and people hear from God? Yes. But I also believe you got to sweep in front of your own front door instead of trying to always sweep in front of others. And so you got to be very careful about the motivations of others when they tell you what you should be doing. All right. Well, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. It was a lot and it was long. Make sure that you leave your comments down below on how you would like to see more videos like this. And if you would like to send me some more topics, my email is down below. Or if you want to DM me on Instagram, all of that can be found there. Make sure that you comment, share this video with someone who can use it, and subscribe. And don't forget to tell me what you're thinking about this topic altogether. Yeah, y'all, Dr. Nina signing out. Peace. Check the links in the description for my free and new Dr. Nina's Mentorship Facebook group, which is a group of like-minded individuals looking to progress, grow, and support one another along the way. The Now That's Life podcast is about to go into season 2, so I suggest you go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on all your major podcasting platforms. All descriptions and links for that and my free supernatural video course are found below. Thanks so much for all the love and support over on my new website. If you haven't already, go ahead and check it out and join me for new ways to interact with me, giveaways and prizes, weekly emails, as well as my free 8-day supernatural video course, which is free when you sign up.